So I'm going to plot a graph with a certain equation. The best thing for me to do is to draw a table of values. And if you recall, we look at our table of values for x and y. And when you're asked to plot a graph with a certain equation, you'll often be given a set of axes where you need to plot your graph. And it will say, it might say between x is -2 and x is 3, for example. Which means that we only need to plot this between our x value, when our x values are between -2 and 3. Okay? So when we do our table of values, we have x is -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, and 3. And that's the kind of thing you're often given on an exam paper as well. However, one thing you can do is find out a little bit more information. We know that y is equal to x squared plus 3x plus 5. Okay? So when x is -2, x squared, so if x equals -2, then x squared is going to be -2 times by -2, which is a positive 4. So I'm going to write that in here. 3x is going to equal 3 lots of -2, which is -6. So I'll write that in here. And 5, well, that doesn't depend on x, that just equals 5. So I'm going to leave that as 5. So my y value is going to be all of those. My y value is all of those together. X squared plus 3x's plus 5 is going to be 4, take away 6, which is -2, plus 5, which is 3. So y is going to equal 3. When x is -1, when x is -1, then x squared is going to be -1 times by -1, which is 1. 3x is going to be 3 times -1, which is -3. And then 5 is still going to just be 5, because that doesn't depend on x at all. So we've got 1, -3, and 5. And you can see quite quickly that this whole bottom row is going to be 5, because no matter what value of x we have, we've always got 5 there. So for when x is -1, then our y value in this box here is going to be 1 take away 3, which is -2, add 5, which is 3. Then for our 0, when x is 0, well, this one's quite easy. 0 times 0 is 0. 3 times 0 is 0, so we're left with just 5. The next one, we've got 1 times 1 x squared. If x is 1, then x squared is 1 times 1, which is 1. 3x is 3 times 1, which is 3. So here we have 1 plus 3 plus 5, which is 9. When x is 2, we have x squared is 2 times 2, which is 4. 3 times x is 3 times 2, which is 6. So here we have 4 plus 6 is 10, plus 5 is 15. Then we have x is 3, so 3 times x squared is 3 times 3, which is 9. 3x is 3 times 3 as well, which is also 9. So 9 plus 9 is 18, plus 5 is 23. So your graph, when you're doing quadratics, where you've got an x squared, often your graph will not go up in nice numbers. It might go up in 2s this time, rather than up by 1. try and fit everything in. And you can see my graph here is not going to fit everything in. So I'm going to ignore this column because I can see that my y value should be 23. So I'm going to ignore it. So when I plot these points, I have to see that when x is 2, y is 3. So if I was to write those as coordinates, that is 2, 3. So, sorry, -2. When x is -2, y is 3. So we have the coordinates -2, 3. I'll mark it on. Then we have when x is -1, y is also 3. So we have the coordinates -1, 3. So I'm going to mark that on. Then I have 0, 5. X is 0, y is 5. So I have 0, 5. And I'll mark that on. Then I have the coordinates when x is 1, y is 9. So 1, 9. Mark that on. And finally, the last one I'm going to do, because I'm not going to do 323 because it's off the graph, is when x is 2, y is 15. So I have the coordinates 2, 15. 2, 15. And you can see that the general shape of this graph is going to look like this. And it'll carry on, but I don't need to do beyond the graph itself.